Hey friends, welcome back to a new Open BIMvoice episode. Today I have with me Daniel Phillips, uh, an earlier colleague of mine. We never worked on the same project before, but we worked in the same company while I was there almost 2.5 years, a bit over that. And he has been there for much longer than me. And I wanted to invite him to share his experience from how openBIM is used in Norway from a general contractor point of view. Hey Daniel, thank you very much for joining me. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. Let's start with saying a few words about who you are, what you are doing, and we go from there.
Yeah, I'm 37 years old, not younger than that. And I have been working with precast concrete for many years, doing precast concrete and steel. And then later now, the 4.5, 5 years, I think I have been doing BIM coordination for some time and at some bigger projects in the Oslo area.
That sounds good. What kind of projects are you involved with and you have been involved with lately? And what was the role of BIM in this project?
So I have been mainly in some hospital projects, some bigger projects for hospitals in the Drammens area and the Oslo area now. And my role there has been more of an how can I say it? Help for our division, because the hospitals themselves have their own engineering office that is doing all the modeling and the coordination. So I'm helping more to help with the models that we are sending them to make sure that they are in a okay shape.
Okay, I understand. I understand. Hospital sounds like quite exciting and very highly technical kind of projects. Now let's dial into OpenBIM. What is your experience with OpenBIM? Like, how crucial do you see that OpenBIM has been in the projects you have worked in? Like, for example, IFC models. Like, how important were they? What were you using them for, and so on?
Yeah, so actually, I haven't been so much into OpenBIM before, like in the first years I was on this project. So it was quite challenging to navigate around them without having a tool that is some quite like dynamic and you can do what I actually wanted to do. So I was working a lot to do things that should be easy but takes a lot of time. So after I was introduced to openBIM, and you talk about like Bonsai and its OpenShell, it's been much quite easier to navigate some loopholes. So we have some companies that deliver us models, and often when they are sending them to us, they are missing important information. Levels is one thing that is often missing. And then we have this model maturity index that's often never there.
Mhm.
And it's often takes very long time to force them to do this. So when I'm using EFC Operation now, we are often using that to fix the models with the MME, because it's much faster to do that and ask them to do it in their native software.
I see. Like, are we talking about this when in a specific project phase, or this is like a general symptom during the project delivery?
I think it's still a general symptom that the things are missing and we need to control it, and it has to be fixed before it's going onto the model, because often it's difficult for them to do it because they're yeah, like always it's always been like that, I feel.
You feel that is not really prioritized on the kind of project that you work, that the design team don't really um, maybe
No,
put.
not on the project. On the project itself, it's state of the art. But
Okay.
on some levels, we are having some companies working for us that is modeling for us,
Aha,
and
okay.
those models has to be a certain level so that we can deliver them.
Mm-hmm,
That
mm-hmm.
is the issue. So it's
Okay.
more like the smaller scope of the modeling.
Okay, okay, I
Uh,
see, I
yeah.
see. But do you also need these models to use them for any kind of use cases? Like you are the, let's say, BIM coordinator, BIM manager on the project, whatever. But what kind of people do need to use these kind of models, and for what purpose before you get to deliver them to the client? Why the data is important in these models?
It's important so that we can control it to know that what is expected is what we are getting.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
it's important for us to have the models and to do a good control of it, so that we know that when it's
Mm-hmm.
produced and coming to the building site, and it's correct.
Okay, I understand. I understand. Um, what can you tell me about some other use cases for this, like for quantity takeoffs, for quantity surveyors, or
Mhm.
calculations, or other stuff, like for
Mhm.
example, reinforcing work. Uh, can you
Mhm.
go a bit deeper into this and tell me how these IFC models, to what degree they are used on the projects you've been involved with?
Yeah, we can start with the easy one first. What is very working very well, and that's reinforcing ITO. When you're having reinforcement that you need to order a lot of, that I seems like we have started to find a very good way, with easy way to do ETOs, to get it out and to order and get it delivered correctly.
Mhm,
That has, I think, that has been very good success in the construction in general, from what I'm seeing.
mhm,
Haven't heard so much problem with that. When it comes to other things, it depends very on how it's used. It's like the model is used like only in the office, that you're going to control something, or you're going to get information to understand something.
mhm,
Then it's very fantastic, and those models that we are getting from these projects are, I think, they are state of the art. I haven't seen models that are so good anywhere else than those big projects. But it's still an issue when you are going to build something out in the building site, and taking measurements on all this. It's still like the same hassle as it's always been, and in a way, drawings has paper drawings with
mhm,
the floor plan and measurements. I feel that is kind of still the thing that is very good, even if
mhm,
I'm doing BIM.
mhm, mhm, mhm. I
Mhm.
see. I see. You mentioned reinforcement models. Why do you think, what is the reason behind the fact that we get very good quality reinforcing models? I have few ideas, but I'll let you take a guess
Yeah,
on it.
it's the same people are doing those models, that's in general the models, and as I said, they are state of the art. But I think that the it's kind of simple objects in a way. So it's like you model an object and you have information on it, and it's, yeah. So it's a little bit simple, I think, and maybe that's the reason that that is also working.
Well, it's simple, but there are many. So if you think
Mhm.
about, there are many reinforcing bars, right? So there is challenge. There are different kind of challenges, because I've seen very good reinforcing models, but
Mhm.
I've also seen like kind of halfway through reinforcing models, um, when, for example, the geometry is more complex and stuff like that. People
Mhm.
were trying to cut corners, like when you have an angle, when you have an inclination or something, it's a bit more difficult to model it in a tool like Revit.
Mhm.
Maybe easier in Tekla, I'm not sure, but yeah. So that's a bit more difficult to do that, and it's easier to accommodate on site.
Mhm.
My guess with this is that I think this has been a requirement for many years in Norway already,
Mhm.
and the designers, the structural designers, and the people who are modeling this kind of models, they really got used to this, and they build this skill. they got feedback when the models were not good enough. And that's why I also believe the same, that the best models that you're going to get on kind of almost any kind of project are the structural ones
Mhm.
in Norway so far. And that's because I think the exposure, but also the pressure that came from everyone. And I think after that also the fact that many workers on site really have gained a pleasure of working in this way, and now they really like and they ask. I was in projects and I heard people where they work with people on site ask for IFC models instead of drawings, and that was very nice and very encouraging.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, so I agree with you, and I have been using Tekla structures for a little bit about 10 years. So I have done some reinforcing and so, and I think its structural is I'm not sure it's easier, but it's like more concrete. Or you
Mm-hmm.
like you do this and you follow this wall, you follow
Mm-hmm.
this plate. It's easier to narrow down to it. But when you have like more type of other different objects that is more complex or so in geometry, it's
Mm-hmm.
maybe difficult to understand and also difficult for people to see it.
Mm-hmm. I see. I see.
Mhm.
Um, how do you see OpenBIM requirements evolving for different clients? I guess you work with different kind of clients. Have you seen that the requirements have evolved over time? They got improved, they got more detailed. Are they requiring for more and more when it comes to OpenBIM on the newer projects, or things have been the same like for a long time?
I feel like when it's smaller projects, it has been evolving a little bit. But when it comes to the big projects, hospitals and those that has they have had those requirements for many years, and it's very fantastic when working on those because you know what you are getting and it's state of the art. And I even see evolving there. They are getting better and are adjusting to make it easier for everybody. So
Mm-hmm.
something that was very good some places even better on other projects. And
Yeah,
so yeah, but smaller it can vary, and it maybe has something to do with time and that
yeah.
to do what they need to do. And I think also the experience that people know about
Mm-hmm.
different programs is also different. So it's not easy to add the floors on objects, but when you don't know about it, and that is another step and time that you don't prioritize, it's easier to maybe skip it if they don't ask about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But my biggest dream now is that every project will have a IDS that is coming with it, so that
That's my man.
it can help everyone.
Why? Why do you say that? This is very interesting. Tell me, tell us
Oh,
why.
yeah. So for what I'm thinking is that when before the project is starting, it should be underlying IDS that is set up that the one that is designing is using. So when he's going to export the model, it's going through a IDS control, and if that
Mm-hmm.
is passing, then you can give it. And if that is something everybody can use, then I could also send them to those that is modeling for us, and they
Mm-hmm.
can also run this before we get it. Right now, we can make one ourselves if we want and do it, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you know the time sometimes. So if it's underlying from the start, from the top, then it's very easier to maintain it for them and use it around. So I
Yeah.
believe that this is a very important step for OpenBIM.
Yeah, I see. I completely agree with that. I think everything starts there. If you don't do that, kind of you set the standard for the project that everything can work because there is no real way of checking or like hard way of checking, right? And why? Because IDS it gives you instant feedback. And it like you just cannot like you know that if you check something with IDS and there is a mistake, then like you are doing something intentionally, right? And I think this is extremely important. How do you see this actually? How complex? Because you deal in your role, like you are involved, you see also how the contracts are and stuff like that. How difficult do you think this could be to implement or to attach these IDSs to the requirements and to the contracts and tie them into the contracts so that the stakeholders are actually going to have uh, like something that they for sure have to deliver, and not something like this debatable, you know?
Yeah, everything comes down to money, I guess, for those that are have the money and wants to build something.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, I have not some time ago, I was in a meeting where somebody wanted some digital twin, but they wanted it to like they wanted a price on it, you know. So it's very difficult to say that. So I think that the best way would be that. They have a requirement that EDS are going to be used, and then somebody needs to have that role to actually maintain those EDS under the project and publish it and ask people to use it, and then also they have been controlled by a second person before they are approved or something. So not sure if I answered your question correctly, but I
That is
feel like
not
those on the
correct.
top
It's not correct.
needs to do something.
It's your own experience.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, what's this is important. I guess also it has to do with how large the project is. Because I'm also thinking about like when do we start actually to care about like what is the tipping point where we start to care about the really good quality of the information on a project, like what, like I remember not long ago it was something like some budget intervals for when it was like recommended to use BIM on projects in Norway. I'm not
Mhm.
sure what was that, but I think it went quite a lot down, and it was like I'm not sure around 50 million Norwegian kroner or something like that, which is actually not a lot of money when you think like you go to houses after that, right? What like,
Mhm.
and I'm thinking also like how, because I think this is extremely important. If you have a client who needs this data for facility management and operations after that, the
Mhm.
more the more critical that data is for their systems and for their workflows, the more important it should be. And you already mentioned hospitals. For that, like it would be like really bad if they would not implement that, right? But I'm thinking
Mhm.
for other kind of buildings. Uh, I'm not sure what do you think about this?
I think that if you go back to the hospital again, there they have done like some ideas that they have started at the end. What are they going to use this data for? And then they started to backtrack it to the before they started, and
Hmm.
they maybe did the correct way to do that. And but I think that other type of buildings and so they don't have maybe the same intensive of doing it maybe as some government projects that is bigger and have a
Hmm.
bigger pocket can be. And even if they could benefit very of it in many ways, I think just that it hasn't been taken in the same way. And
Hmm.
that is still the same thing I see on some of the projects we have.
Hmm. 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 I see. Um, so you say there is a difference, and I guess it should be because, yeah, most, I think if you build housing projects, then those end up to a, I don't know, to a client, to a person who is going to live there or maybe rent the apartment. So maybe it's not so complex digital twin they need for that, right?
Mhm.
Meanwhile, when we talk about hospitals or I don't know, schools, maybe even where actually schools don't have so much activities, but yeah, it's not like hospitals, right? Hospitals have really, really a lot. And
Mhm.
I also know, like, I'm not sure who was your client, who you worked with, but I know that CKU is big, it's quite involved, and they push forward a lot, openBIM and
Correct.
so on. So uh, I'm also thinking about another aspect here. Um, do you still no the private, when it comes to private clients, do you see this taking off as well, like they start to get more educated and ask and have better requirements on the projects and try to use openBIM, or you see more that kind of they delegate that to you, to the builder?
Haven't been in some of those projects for some years now, but the last I saw, they had some requirements. They have this BIM BEP manual that they are using, but nobody's like holding it together, you know, and actually
Hmm.
you need to just, if someone don't use it, they don't say anything, I feel, even if,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like this person that has to like force it and use it because they have a purpose in the end. It's not there.
Yeah, I understand.
Mhm.
I also maybe it's a guess. I'm not sure, but I also don't think many private I don't know how to call them asset owners or asset managers. They don't really have BIM resources actually, like BIM people who should actually implement and help them with that and
Mhm.
follow up projects. I don't think it's quite there. Um, and yeah, you're right about the government, uh, the government agencies, the government departments. They are much further. But how do you see, like in general, the like you've been working with BIM for many years now. How many years is it?
Oh, 14, maybe 15, yeah, around there.
Okay, so a lot. So what do you feel that is the status of openBIM in 2026? Have you made any or a lot of progress in the last years? What's happening right now? How do you see this development after, like, before and after the COVID, and where we are today, and uh, what's happening?
Oh, I will say that the past years has been for me has been much better when I started to use openBIM because it's saving me so much time on things that I've been doing before, and I wish I knew it some years before because I would even save very much time in things that I did. So I see that it has a very interesting future to use openBIM more.
Mm-hmm,
And when you take this together with the agents and ChatGPT and those things, where we can get help to actually use Python scripts, and you can use openBIM even more. It's a very fantastic thing that is coming, and people should look at this more because this is very important, I think, for the future.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you see that, do you see any acceleration? Do you think that AI is help accelerate the adoption and increase the quality of openBIM on implementation on projects?
Very hard to say because the projects I'm on now, they are kinda uh, some years old before we start to build, so it's not so easy
Aha,
to see
okay.
that development. But I can see to my coworkers that some of them has faster in things. They are like using more modules, and they are
Uh-huh.
understanding more maybe than not understanding more, but they are having some help to understand things in a different way maybe. So it's very interesting to see.
Yeah, so you see that actually people around you are upskilling, like even if
Yes.
that's not really necessarily reflected in older projects which started a few years ago.
Mhm.
But given that your colleagues and I guess everyone else around upskills with this, that should make a big impact in in future projects.
Yeah, I
Um,
believe so.
yeah. Could you imagine construction industry in Norway without openBIM in 2026?
No, I could not. It's it's a very important place of it because yeah, it is.
It plays a core role in the processes of your company, but also like in the society,
Yeah,
because in the
everywhere
entire.
in the construction business, it's having a big role.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm,
But
mhm.
maybe still there is like people just thinks about, oh, we need to export the IFC because that's the format we are giving in, and they
Yeah,
maybe don't have so much
experience and
understand
not
how
so
structured
comfortable.
that model
Yeah.
needs to be. But it's always IFC as I'm seeing it,
Mhm.
and people understand this is important.
Yeah, I think it's a growing pain process. Like we
Mhm.
mentioned, and we talk about the structure part. The structural guys were first exposed to this, and
Mhm.
now the other ones, the MEP, the architects, also get more exposed. And I think we get more friction on, especially on not so large projects where the architects maybe were not so used, especially when
Mhm.
they are like smaller architectural teams, if not just
Yeah.
individuals. And maybe they have to do everything. They didn't have the time. They were not involved with this kind of project before. And of course, it's going to be like a learning process. And some friction in this. But they are not they don't have a choice, unfortunately for them, fortunately for everyone, because that's what's happening in Norway. Like, do you see, from my point of view, I see like all the communes, all the municipalities, all the big public clients, and even private ones, like obos, and other ones are creating and mandating openBIM on their projects. So I don't think there is going to be a way around this. It's just a matter of time until everyone kind of working on any project is going to have to face this reality. So the earlier they invest time to learn these things, the earlier, the quicker should be, the better should be for them, I guess, right?
Yes, that is correct. I agree with you in that. It won't disappear. It will just be a bigger need in the coming years. Is what
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Do you know anything about building permits based on IFC models? Did you hear anything around that?
I haven't heard anything about that, or I haven't checked even so. No.
Okay, there are some discussions about that in Oslo Commune. So I think we're going to see that as well quite soon. Well, when I say quite soon, it might be few good months or maybe years. But I see a trend in that in more countries, like Dubai has it, Finland has implemented, and there are some discussions in other countries as well. So I remember having some discussion, like reading some articles about this, and there are some discussions going on the topic. So I guess it's a matter of time, kind of, because it's natural, since so many are using, stakeholders already are using IFC models on their workflows, and so on. So yeah. Okay, cool. What would you recommend or say to somebody who maybe is interested in openBIM but is not sure? And yeah, would you have a message for them?
Yeah, I would just say that now is the time to start, because now it's even easier in a way to start with this, because we have like the help of the new tools that is coming here to the world with generative AI, and you can getting faster up on speed to understand faster and actually do something with it. So I think now is the time. I have always been a person that has been dreaming from young age to start coding, but I haven't had the time or the will to read books about how you're doing it. But I see now that even when this generative AI came now, I can even now understand a Python code that I would never do before.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's a very interesting time we are in. So start with learning some Python and look at IFC, OpenShell, and Bonsai, and you can do whatever you need with
Yeah,
it.
yeah, built many interesting things. Another thing I wanted to ask you, model-based construction. I get, like, I write once in a while post about this, about models being used from design to site. People get used to use on site, and I get a lot of negativity around this from many points of views. But yeah, people say first and foremost it's not possible. So, uh, what is your experience with that around model-based construction? And don't think only about reinforcement. Think about other things as well, because like there are other things, not necessarily for construction, but maybe for quality check, maybe for I don't know, inspections, for other things. What kind of other use cases? But yeah, first a general opinion about this.
Oh, this is a hard thing. I have been dreaming about this for a long time, that we can just throw a pad to some workers and they will use that, and that is like their tool. But it's not so easy. And if you don't go into the experience with technology and stuff, that I don't think is the problem. I think is that a drawing is very easy. You have what
Okay.
you need on it. You can use it to many different things.
Yeah.
You can use it for quality control. You have the measurement there. They know what they need to do. But if you just have a model wherein they need to go in, take the measurement, maybe they need to hide something, you are starting to have another level of complexity,
Yeah.
and also then how can you quality control it? So it's so many things that I think can be a little bit issue with BIM on the site, and I really hope that this will come forward. But so far, I haven't seen a very good way of doing it. Even if it's working in some cases, but not all.
Yeah, for sure. And like because I'm coming from the infrastructure part, I see this much more used on infrastructure sites. I'm not really sure what exactly. I have some guesses, but most of the time also it has to do with the quality of the models, but not most of the time. Like there are other challenges as well on building sites, like not having always available surveyors, which on infrastructure projects you have plenty of all the time, which are helping you a lot with placing things, so you don't have to measure so much when it comes to concrete. And also, like, it's not, you don't have so many disciplines in one tight space. Maybe you want to you do something, and then the pipe guy has to install something next week or something like that, and like creates more pressure when it comes to that.
Yes.
On the other hand, you get to a point where you get models without drawings. That's what happened in the project where I worked, right? So also the quality assurance, you can actually, depending which tools do I use, because that's the idea. Like you can do these things, but like you mentioned, it adds another kind of complexity and level of complexity. But in the end, the advantage with that is that everything that happens, it's in one place, kind of connected to that. Like for example, I'm not going to make free marketing for Dalux, but using Dalux, let's say. You have Dalux used by people to read and see what kind of bars they have to place. Then you have the quality engineers who also have checklists using the same bars querying the information from the bars and checking and approving on site. We also did that. And then you have everything documented, right? So the client sees everything, that this has been checked, pictures taken, and the diameter is there, the distance is there, and so on. So you get there, but you get to a point, like I mentioned, where, because right now to get the drawings, you still have, like, to ask for them, you have to pay for them as a client. The client pays for it, and they have to be produced by the architect or the structure engineer or MEP or whatever, right? In that case, then kind of you put the effort into adding the extra information that is needed and implementing the right processes of getting out this information. So again, but I've seen the same, like the best examples when it comes to model-based construction, unfortunately, comes from infrastructure. Meanwhile, we're still a bit lagging when it comes to buildings, because tighter budget, less people, not so much exposed maybe to this, right? So once these people who are working with the reinforcement, they do that, after that they keep doing that. And there are few companies who, like most companies have been, the ones who work specifically with reinforcement, they really got used to this kind of workflows. So this is one question. And the other question was about what do you think, what it happens in Norway? Another kind of wave of skepticism that I get when I'm promoting the good job and the good progress that's happening in Norway, it's about like, hey, what's happening in Norway? That's not true, does not happen, and that's never going to happen in the world. No one can say that can be replicated in the world. It's a small country. I don't know, a lot of reasons. Would you say that what's happening in Norway, it's impossible to replicate in the world?
No, I would say that this is possible, and for me it seems like impossible not to do it. And how I'm saying, because I'm so used to it. So for me, it will be very strange to go into some big project that we don't have a IFC model. That would be very strange. And so
Yeah.
maybe I'm very lucky that Norway are so far ahead when it comes to BIM, but that is very strange, because I think this is the very great way of working. And when it comes to designing engineer and controlling the models in the offices and those, it's fantastic tool and it's have evolved so far and will continue to do that in the coming years with openBIM and the tools that we are now getting that we didn't have before.
I agree. And I have bad news for the naysayers because unfortunately, my take is that they are in denial. They are they are becoming the resistance to change. And it's like cultural. It's only cultural. And the bad news for them is that actually there are many places in the world, in Europe especially, I see where they are happening. There are clients who start to require openBIM. They are still like, it's still catching up. To Norway, it took like 20 years. How much? Like something like that. Like since it started with the first requirements and since people have started to get used to that and so on. So it doesn't have to take as long because we have much better technology, much better tools, and now we have also examples that are worthwhile to follow. So a lot of mistakes are going to be avoided in the future, and the implementation becomes easier. And there are many places like there is no other place where you can see like nationally it's happening. I told you like Finland has this building permit mandate, but I'm not sure how that is being implemented. I've seen other countries. I heard like Dubai has really managed to nail their implementation, but that it's still like very limited to some degree because it's not like for all the buildings. It's like for some budgets and some heights and stuff like that, you know. So it's like there are not many buildings in that category that are the mandate is for as per my understanding. And there are still many people who have to get on board with that and so on. But again, like everything starts with requirements. If you don't have mandates, no one is going to do anything. So that's the good part, and that's the bad news for the naysayers, because in Europe there is this movement, openBIM Harmony, which tries to impose openBIM requirements on all the projects over a specific amount of money. And this is going to kind of, I feel that is going to have the same impact that it had in Norway. Just that now we are going to have the good experiences from Norway. We have ChatGPT, Claude AI, and all these things that we can use to make to go quicker, to learn better, to learn quicker how to deliver better IFC models, how to validate them, and also the clients how to implement this, how to require this on projects. And I think it's going to happen. And I see use cases. I see like places in Germany, places in Switzerland, even in Romania, some companies using this, in Italy, Spain. So it's popping up like mushrooms here and there, and I think this is going to spread. And the naysayers are just going to be naysayers until maybe they get to pension, to retire themselves. I'm not sure. And the other bad news for the for the people living in denial is that the young people come with a fresh mind. I talk to a lot of people, a lot of BIM professionals in the industry, a lot of AEC professionals, architects, engineers. They have a complete different mindset. They are not afraid of learning to code something, to change. They are much more open for this, and they have the open mindset which openBIM needs to dare to do that. So there are good news. And again, at the same time, I guess also in Norway, there are still some things that we want to get even better and to accelerate and to get to a point where we can really be proud about this. Like you mentioned, like the change is happening, is there, but there are still some hiccups, some friction points. All right. In case somebody would like to send you a message or ask you questions or something, is that possible? If that's possible, how can somebody contact you or where can they find you?
Sure, you can find me on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, okay. Your name, Daniel Phillips. I'm going to put that in
Correct.
the description. Thank you so much, Daniel. It was a lot of fun to catch up with you.
Thank
And
you.
I hope this is going to be an eye opener and maybe inspiring for some people that they should not sleep on openBIM. We forgot also to mention that this is also like a skill, a career skill that can make a big difference. For me, it has made a big difference. But now just imagine somebody going to Norway or something and trying to work as a BIM coordinator or BIM manager without knowing how to handle an IFC model. That's going to be very tough for them to get any kind of job. just because it's the normal status quo that everyone expects you to know how to use, right?
Mhm.
Thank you so much for joining, and yeah, we stay in touch.
Thank you for inviting me.